Kalara had never seen a human before. Not until the day she was assigned to clean the officers' quarters on the Interstellar Alliance ship, the IAS Horizon. She was from Zentari, a planet where the waters ran deep and the inhabitants lived in harmonious isolation from the rest of the galaxy. Zentarans, like Kalara, were a species known for their translucent skin and ethereal movements, qualities that made them seem almost ghost-like to the more solid beings of the galaxy. The Horizon was a massive ship, a gleaming testament to the technological advancements of the Alliance. It housed thousands of species from across the universe, each contributing to the vast exploration and peacekeeping missions of the fleet. Kalara, with her innate ability to move silently and swiftly, was perfectly suited for her role as a maid. She cleaned with such efficiency and discretion that she was almost invisible to the crew, a wraith moving through the shadows. On that particular day, Kalara's schedule brought her to the private quarters of Captain Elias Reed, a human from Earth, known for his leadership in the recent peace talks with the Rigelian Empire. The captain was a tall man with skin much darker than Kalara's luminescent hues and hair that curled tightly against his head. Humans, she'd heard, were creatures of emotion and passion, traits that were as alien to Kalara as the concept of war had once been to her peaceful planet. As she entered the captain's quarters, Kalara was struck by the array of personal items that decorated the room. Pictures of landscapes and people, strange and colorful trinkets from Earth, and books with worn spines filled the space, giving it a warmth that was often absent in the utilitarian corridors of the ship. She moved silently, her hands wiping surfaces with a cloth that absorbed dust and dirt in one smooth motion. She was about to leave when the sound of water caught her attention. It was coming from the adjoining room, which through her briefings she knew to be the bathing area. Driven by a curiosity that overrode her usual restraint, Kalara edged closer to the source of the sound. The door was ajar, a sliver of steam escaping into the cooler air of the bedroom. Peeking inside, Kalara's eyes widened with amazement. Captain Reed was in the shower, water cascading down his strong back, droplets glistening on his skin like stars against the night sky of her home planet. The sight was mesmerizing. On Zentari, water was sacred, used sparingly, and never wasted on such an extravagant activity as showering. Here it flowed freely, enveloping the captain in a halo of warmth and light. The human concept of privacy flickered at the back of her mind, a lesson learned but not yet fully understood. Kalara knew she should leave, that her continued presence was a breach of some unspoken rule. But the sight held her transfixed. It was not just the novelty of the water or the human form. It was the entire scenario, so different from anything she had ever known. As she stood there, hidden in the shadows, a drop of water splashed from the captain to the floor, crossing the boundary between them. It sparkled on the tile, a tiny beacon of shared existence. Kalara felt a strange pull, a desire to step closer, to understand not just the physicality of the human form, but the warmth and emotion that seemed to radiate from him. Suddenly aware of her intrusion, Kalara stepped back, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and fascination. She slipped out of the room, her presence unnoticed. Back in the safety of the corridor, she paused, her mind racing. This brief encounter, this glimpse into another world, had awakened something within her, a curiosity that was as daunting as it was irresistible. As Kalara continued her rounds, the image of the showering captain haunted her thoughts, a symbol of all the mysteries and wonders the universe held, waiting to be explored. It was a moment of first contact, not between species at a diplomatic table, but between individual souls, each utterly alien to the other, yet connected by a simple universal truth, the need to understand and be understood. Her duties completed, Kalara returned to her own quarters, a small, dimly lit room that now seemed even more confined than before. As she lay down to rest, her mind replayed the day's events, and she knew that something fundamental in her perception of the universe had shifted. Kalara was no longer just a maid on the IAS Horizon. She was a seeker, a being on the threshold of a journey that would take her beyond the boundaries of duty and discipline. into the vast, uncharted territories of emotion and interaction. For the first time, Kalara looked forward to the next day, eager to see what other wonders the human species might hold, and what mysteries she might uncover within herself. Kalara's sleep was restless, her dreams a swirling maelstrom of water and light, interwoven with human smiles and the strange, intoxicating scent of earth flowers. When she awoke, her decision was clear. She would seek to understand the human ritual of showering, a desire that was as much about comprehending their culture as it was about the sensory explosion it promised. Her day began with her usual duties, but her thoughts were elsewhere, fixated on the droplets of water that had danced on Captain Reed's skin. She found herself wandering back to the captain's quarters under the guise of extra cleaning. Today the door to the shower was firmly closed, the room silent and still. Disappointed, Kalara cleaned with mechanical motions, her mind racing with possibilities. The chance to learn more came unexpectedly. Kalara was wiping down a console in the communal gym when she overheard two crew members discussing their water rationing back home on Earth. They spoke of showers as a luxury, a small but significant part of their daily lives that was deeply cherished. Intrigued, Kalara approached them. Breaking her usual silence, she asked about the significance of water and showers in human culture. The crew members, surprised by her curiosity, explained enthusiastically. They described not just the physical refreshment it offered, but the emotional relief, a moment of solitude and contemplation, a ritual that cleansed more than just the body. Fueled by this new understanding, Kalara's fascination grew into an obsession. She began observing other crew members, noting their routines and the care they took in their water use. Each observation added a layer to her understanding, painting a complex picture of cultural diversity and the intrinsic value of seemingly mundane activities. Later, Kalara ventured into the engineering bay where the water recycling systems were housed. Here, she befriended Tilek, a Vulcan engineer who explained the mechanics of water reclamation aboard the ship. Kalara learned about the filtration processes, the careful balance of chemicals, and the precise engineering that allowed such a precious resource to be used so liberally in a closed environment like the IAS Horizon. Her discussions with Tilek turned to the philosophical, pondering the role of water in various cultures across the stars. Kalara listened, enthralled, as Tilek described water's symbolism of life and purity in countless civilizations, and how these meanings were echoed in rituals and daily practices. With Tilek's guidance, Kalara used a small simulator in the engineering lab to experience a simulated shower. The sensation of water, even artificial, trickling over her translucent skin was exhilarating. Each drop seemed to carry its own universe, its own story. For a moment, Kalara closed her eyes and imagined she was a human, enveloped in the warmth and solitude of their cherished ritual. But reality awaited, and she emerged from the simulator with a new resolve. Kalara began to document her findings, compiling notes on not just the technical aspects of human water use, but the emotional and cultural layers she had uncovered. Her reports, initially a duty, became a labor of love, a comprehensive analysis that she hoped might one day bridge the gap between her kind and the humans. As days turned into weeks, Kalara's reputation grew. She was no longer just a maid. She was an unofficial cultural ambassador, a bridge between her people and the humans. Her once invisible presence was now a welcome sight throughout the ship, her questions met with eager explanations, her curiosity celebrated. Kalara felt a profound connection to the crew, to their stories, and through them, to the vast and varied tapestry of the universe itself. In her quest to understand a simple human ritual, she had found a deeper understanding of life itself, the intricate dance of cultures and creatures, each with their own rituals, each with their own sacred waters. Kalara's newfound insights into human rituals and her increasing familiarity with the crew led to an unexpected development. Captain Reed, having heard of her curious investigations and cultural exchanges, requested her presence in his office, a rare honor not often bestowed upon maintenance staff. The captain's office was a microcosm of Earth, adorned with terrestrial plants, and photographs of landscapes so lush they seemed to belong to another world entirely. Kalara entered timidly, aware of the weight of the moment, her heart fluttering with a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. Captain Reed greeted her warmly, his demeanor devoid of the formal stiffness often displayed during official duties. "Kalara," he began, his voice imbued with a genuine curiosity, "I've heard a great deal about your questions and your interest in our customs, especially about something as ordinary to us as showering. Tell me, what have you learned?" Kalara, encouraged by his tone, shared her observations and insights, describing not only the physical aspects of human water use, but also the emotional and cultural significance she had uncovered. She spoke of the solitude and purification described by the crew, the luxury of water in a universe so vast and dry, and how these moments of personal ritual seem to anchor the human spirit. The captain listened intently, nodding thoughtfully. "Your perspective is unique, Kalara. It's easy to forget the beauty of our everyday rituals when they are so commonplace to us. Your curiosity has sparked discussions among the crew, about you, about us, about the myriad ways we all live and think aboard this ship." He paused, his gaze shifting to the star-studded void beyond his window. "I want to propose something," he continued, turning back to face her. "How would you like to formally study human cultures? Not just ours, but all the cultures aboard the Horizon. We could use someone with your keen observations to help us understand each other better." Kalara was stunned. Her role had been so defined, so limited, that the possibility of shifting to a cultural liaison was both thrilling and overwhelming. "I would be honored, Captain," she finally managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "Excellent," Captain Reed smiled, his eyes reflecting a spark of excitement. "I'll make the arrangements. You'll work with our anthropological team, get access to training, resources, whatever you need." As Kalara left the captain's office, the corridors of the Horizon seemed to pulse with a new energy. Her interaction with the captain had not just altered her path, but had also imbued her with a deeper sense of purpose. She was no longer an observer from the shadows. She was to be an active participant in the cultural synthesis of the ship. Her first task under this new role was to organize an intercultural exchange program. She started with what she knew best, the human ritual of showering, planning a series of seminars where crew members could share their own cleansing rituals from their native cultures. Kalara designed it as a celebration of diversity and unity. Each session would end with a discussion, helping to weave a richer tapestry of understanding among the ship's eclectic inhabitants. The first seminar was a revelation. Members from aquatic planets discussed their use of sound waves for cleansing, while others from arid worlds talked about sand bathing techniques. Each story was a testament to the adaptability and creativity of life forms across the cosmos. Kalara documented each session, her reports filled with detailed descriptions and analyses. These documents became a staple resource within the Horizon, spreading far beyond, even to other ships and stations. Kalara's work painted a picture of a community rich in diversity, yet bound by common threads of existence and experience. Through her efforts, Kalara not only transformed her own life, but also subtly shifted the cultural dynamics aboard the Horizon. She had become a vital link between species. Her once solitary existence blossomed into one of connection and deep interstellar comprehension. Kalara's role as a cultural liaison blossomed, and with it, the ship's atmosphere began to change. Her seminars grew in popularity, evolving into a series of workshops, demonstrations, and discussions that captivated the crew. It wasn't just about rituals anymore. It was about understanding the philosophies and the essence behind the daily practices that defined the myriad cultures aboard the Horizon. One day, during a seminar focused on the meditative practices from various planets, a serious incident unfolded that tested Kalara's newfound position. An argument erupted between two crew members from historically antagonistic species. The dispute, which began over a mere misunderstanding regarding ceremonial customs, quickly escalated, threatening to disrupt the harmony of the ship. Kalara, who had until then been a silent observer, took it upon herself to mediate the conflict. Using the diplomacy skills she had observed in Captain Reed and others, she invited the disputants to share their perspectives, guiding them to express the cultural significance behind their actions rather than their immediate grievances. As she facilitated this dialogue, other crew members gathered, drawn by the commotion but staying for the resolution. Kalara's calm demeanor and insightful questions slowly diffused the tension. The crew members began to see not just the misunderstanding, but the common values they shared: respect for tradition, the need for expression, and the fundamental desire for community and understanding. This incident marked a turning point for Kalara, as well as for the entire crew of the Horizon. Captain Reed, having witnessed her adept handling of the situation, officially created a new role for her as the ship's chief cultural officer, a position that would formalize her efforts to foster unity and peace aboard the vessel. With her new title, Kalara was granted access to more resources and a small team. She embarked on a project to create a cultural archive, a digital library that documented the customs, traditions, and histories of all the species on the Horizon. This archive was accessible to everyone, designed not just to educate but to celebrate the rich tapestry of life forms working side by side in space. Kalara and her team worked tirelessly, interviewing crew members, recording their stories, and capturing images and videos of cultural rituals. Each entry in the archive was a gateway into a new world, each story a thread in the larger narrative of the Horizon's mission. The archive quickly became a favorite resource on the ship, a tool for education and a source of pride for the crew. It was a testament to how far Kalara had come, from an invisible maid to a keeper of the ship's cultural heartbeat. Her efforts did not go unnoticed. The Interstellar Alliance, recognizing the potential of her work to aid in diplomatic missions, decided to replicate her project across other ships in the fleet. Kalara was invited to speak at several interstellar conferences, where she shared her insights and strategies for building intercultural understanding in space. As Kalara's reputation grew, so did her influence. She was no longer just facilitating workshops, but was now part of strategic discussions about diplomatic missions, offering her unique perspective on potential cultural clashes and opportunities for alliance building. Kalara's transformation was profound, but equally transformative was the change she inspired in others. Crew members, once isolated by the invisible walls of cultural differences, now engaged with one another with newfound respect and curiosity. They attended each other's cultural celebrations, participated in joint projects, and shared meals from their native worlds. The ship, once a vessel of strangers cohabitating in the vacuum of space, had become a community, a microcosm of the Alliance's aspirations for peace and understanding throughout the galaxy. As Kalara watched the crew interact with laughter and camaraderie in the ship's communal areas, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had ignited a spark of connection in the vast expanse of space, a spark that promised to burn brightly as they ventured toward the unknown. Kalara's work on the Horizon had not only changed the social fabric of the ship, but had also reshaped her own understanding of her role in the cosmos. As her influence grew, so too did her responsibilities. The cultural archive was expanding, encompassing not only the traditions of the crew but also their personal stories, challenges, and triumphs in space. The next phase of her project involved a more ambitious plan, a live cultural exchange event that would be broadcast throughout the Interstellar Alliance. The event would feature performances, discussions, and presentations from various species, showcasing the diversity and unity of the Horizon's crew to the galaxy at large. Planning the event required meticulous coordination. Kalara, along with her team, arranged for translators, set up the technical infrastructure for the broadcast, and worked closely with the participants to refine their contributions. The excitement aboard the ship was palpable. Everyone wanted to contribute something meaningful, something that would represent their culture honorably and authentically on the galactic stage. During this time, Kalara developed a close partnership with a humanoid alien named Maid, a communications officer from a species known for their exceptional linguistic skills. Maid helped Kalara navigate the complex linguistic landscape of the Alliance, ensuring that the messages shared during the event would be understood across countless linguistic divides. As the day of the event approached, Kalara felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. The vast auditorium within the ship was transformed into a vibrant stage, adorned with symbols and artifacts from dozens of worlds. Cameras and holoprojectors were set up to capture and transmit every angle, every expression to viewers across the galaxy. The event began with a traditional water ceremony from Kalara's home planet, Zentari, symbolizing the flow of life and the shared essence of existence. As she performed the ritual, Kalara felt the weight of her people's heritage, their quiet strength and profound connection to the cosmos flowing through her. Following the ceremony, a series of performances illuminated the auditorium. A group of Andorian musicians played hauntingly beautiful melodies with their crystalline instruments, their music echoing through the chamber with a chilling purity. Next, a troupe of Rigelian dancers took the stage, their bodies moving in complex, gravity-defying patterns that told the story of their planet's history. Throughout the event, Kalara facilitated discussions, posing questions that encouraged participants to explore the meanings behind their cultural expressions. These discussions delved deep, touching on themes of identity, belonging, and the universal quest for peace and understanding. The climax of the event was a panel discussion featuring leaders from different species, including Captain Reed. They debated the role of culture in space exploration and the importance of maintaining one's heritage while embracing the galactic community. The dialogue was rich, filled with varying perspectives that challenged and complemented one another. As the event drew to a close, Kalara took a moment to stand back and observe the interactions among the crew and the feedback coming in from across the galaxy. Messages of goodwill, curiosity, and appreciation flooded in, each one a testament to the power of cultural exchange. The success of the event was not just in its execution, but in the ripple effects it created throughout the Alliance. Schools, governments, and other ships began to request access to the cultural archive, and similar events started being planned across the system. In the days that followed, Kalara's role as a cultural liaison became even more vital. She was consulted on diplomatic missions, asked to provide insights into cultural conflicts, and invited to help plan future interstellar events. As she walked through the corridors of the horizon, Kalara felt a renewed sense of connection, not just to her own kind or to humans, but to the entire fabric of the interstellar community. She had become more than a bridge. She was now a catalyst for unity, an echo of understanding reverberating through the stars. The cultural exchange event had not only been a resounding success, but also a catalyst for change across the Interstellar Alliance. Kalara, once a mere observer of life aboard the IAS Horizon, now stood at the forefront of intercultural relations, her life irrevocably intertwined with the mission of fostering understanding among the stars. In the aftermath of the event, Kalara was flooded with invitations from various sectors of the galaxy. Schools wanted her to speak about cultural diversity. Military outposts requested her expertise in navigating cultural minefields, and scientific expeditions sought her counsel on interacting with newly contacted species. Each request was a thread in the vast tapestry she was helping to weave, each connection a step toward a more unified galaxy. Amidst this flurry of activity, Kalara received a personal communication from the Council of the Interstellar Alliance, an entity responsible for overseeing peace and development across planets. The message was both an honor and a summons. Kalara was invited to serve as an ambassador at large, a position that would leverage her unique skills and experiences to mediate conflicts and foster peace in the most volatile regions of space. Accepting the role, Kalara felt a profound sense of duty and anticipation. Her new responsibilities would take her away from the horizon, her home in the stars, and thrust her into the heart of the galaxy's most pressing conflicts. It was a daunting prospect, but Kalara was driven by the belief that her work could make a difference, that her voice could help echo the cries for peace and understanding. Her farewell from the horizon was bittersweet. The crew, now her family, gathered to express their gratitude and good wishes. Captain Reed presented her with a medallion, a symbol of the horizon, engraved with the words, "Unity in Diversity." It was a reminder of her roots, of the place and the people who had shaped her new path. As Kalara boarded the shuttle that would take her to her first assignment, she looked back at the horizon, its silhouette a familiar comfort against the backdrop of stars. She carried with her not just the knowledge and experiences from her time aboard the ship, but also the hopes and dreams of those she had come to know and respect. Her first mission as ambassador at large took her to a remote star system where two planets were locked in a bitter dispute over mining rights to a shared asteroid belt. The conflict threatened to escalate into violence, potentially dragging their respective alliances into a broader war. Arriving at the negotiation table, Kalara introduced herself not with her titles or her role, but with her story. She spoke of her humble beginnings on the horizon, of the lessons she had learned from each species she had interacted with, and of the power of understanding and respecting one's neighbors. Her words, sincere and earnest, resonated with the delegates, reminding them of the broader consequences of their dispute. The negotiations were long and fraught with tension, but Kalara's steady presence and her ability to empathize with both sides gradually broke down barriers. Weeks turned into months, and eventually a treaty was drafted, one that honored the sovereignty and economic interests of both planets, while ensuring the sustainable development of the asteroid belt. With the treaty signed, Kalara felt a wave of relief and fulfillment. Her work had prevented a war, had saved countless lives, and had perhaps laid the groundwork for a lasting peace in the region. As she continued her journey from one conflict zone to another, Kalara remained a steadfast advocate for dialogue and understanding. Her story, once contained within the walls of a spaceship, now echoed across the galaxy, a testament to the belief that even the smallest voice could harmonize the vast symphony of the spheres.